Chapter 59.
So, you found another brony?
Peter asked as he warmed himself next to the fire. I nodded.
Yup. Why does everyone copy Big Mac?
I chuckled and looked around me. We were all cozy in the lobby, sitting on throw pillows around the large fire. Each couple shared a pillow and was wrapped in each other's arms. Zorro sat alone and chuckled. I hope we don't find too many bronies. Every pony nodded in agreement. We then began to chat about general things and what we were going to do tomorrow on the slopes. Hey, every pony. Lance told me to come, and I brought a friend, said a voice behind us all. We all turned to see Shadow Breeze and an olive green female Pegasus. I smiled.
Hey, Shadow, who's your friend?
She smiled and cantered up to me and extended a hoof.
I'm a Vinetian, but you can call me Vine if you want.
Seth smiled smugly and stood up to make his way toward her.
Hey there, pretty laddie. I must say, you're looking smoking hot today.
Vinetian rolled her eyes and stomped her hoof. Suddenly, a vine popped out of the ground and wrapped around Seth's back leg and lifted him up into the air.
What the heck?
He said as he began to thrash about. Shadow Breeze chuckled and made his way over to us. Sorry, I forgot to tell you. Vine here can control plants. We all looked at him in disbelief, and I said,
What? How is that possible?
She shrugged.
Ever since I arrived here in Equestria, I've had this power.
My eyes widened.
Wait, you're a brony?
She laughed and shook her head slightly.
Pegasister.
I nodded and gave a slight aha.
Well, it's good to meet a female brony for once.
She looked at our group.
You mean you haven't even met a single female brony?
Peter shrugged.
Nope, just men.
I looked over at Seth, whose face was turning red from being held upside down.
Could you drop him before he has brain damage?
Vinetian looked at him and grinned.
Of course.
She stomped her hoof, causing the vine to go back into the ground, which in turn caused Seth to fall face first on the ground. Zora winced slightly. Oh, that had to hurt. I let out a small laugh and looked over to Shadow.
So, why are you two still here? I mean, come on. You know you want to check out Ponyville.
Vinetian answered for him this time.
Well, when we ran into each other a few months ago, we had both been here at the ski resort the whole time. He takes care of the kids and the animals, and I take care of the forest.
Shadow nodded. In truth, I like it here too much to leave. I mean, of course I'd like to go to Ponyville and see... His voice trailed off as his gaze stooped upon a pony. Fluttershy. Fluttershy began to shift uneasily underneath his gaze. But Shadow quickly looked away as he gave a small laugh. Sorry about that. I just remembered something. He then turned and ran out of the room. I looked over at Vinetian.
What was that about?
She chuckled.
I'll tell you later.
She then looked up at the whole group.
I see everyone's paired up, and you've already gotten my favorite ponies. Well, damn.
Wait, there's only female ponies here that she should know about. Does that mean she's... Break. Don't assume that of people you just met. She could mean the bronies. Nah, I think she means the mares. Both of you, shut the hell up!
Twilight looked at her confused, and then back at the group.
What do you mean? You haven't met any of the bronies before. How would you have a favorite?
I put my hoof on her mouth and whispered.
I'll tell you later, okay, Twilight?
She nodded and whispered back.
Okay.
I looked back at Vinetian, who was looking at me and Twilight with an amused face. Peter rubbed his chin.
I know what she means now. She means...
He held a hoof to his head and picked up the book that had just hit him. Yeah, that's the sound a book makes.
Lance, what was that for?
I smiled softly.
Quiet, you.
He rolled his eyes and laid his head down. Rarity put her hooves over his neck and began to whisper into his ear. He seemed to cheer up almost instantly. Vinetian only chuckled at our actions towards what she said. Luna rubbed her chin confused.
I'm confused. Can you tell me what you mean by...
Lance, if you throw that book, I will make you suffer, Frederick yelled out at me. I smiled sheepishly and put the book down that I was about to throw at Luna. Luna looked between us and sighed slightly.
Okay then. As I was saying, can you tell us what you mean by we've gotten all your favorite bronies? I didn't know you knew any of the bronies.
Vinetian looked to be holding back laughter.
I'll tell you in due time. But tonight, I just want to get to know all of you.
Luna shrugged.
We will do this. Let's get to talking about our lives.
Everyone laughed at her, and we all began to get to know each other a little bit better.
That night, Drax and Dolly's room.
Drax sat on the edge of the bed, watching Dela, who was looking out the window at the night sky. He looked her over and sighed.
So beautiful,
he whispered under his breath. He had liked her ever since Lance had brought him over to her house. It was love at first sight for him, and that was something that had never happened before. He's never even thought about dating his whole life, but for some reason, he wants to be with her, to hold her and keep her safe. But he knew he couldn't do that. He couldn't even talk to her or touch her because of her culture. He rubbed his face and stood.
Dela?
She turned and, to his surprise, answered.
Yes?
He gulped. He hadn't expected her to respond.
How are you?
He instantly wanted to face hoof. She smiled, which caused Drax to blush deeply.
I'm doing good. It's cold here, but it's bearable.
Drax hastily picked up a blanket.
Do you want a blanket?
She continued to smile warmly.
That would be nice, thank you.
Drax walked over and threw the blanket over her and then backed away, not wanting to scare her. Dela pulled the blanket around her and sat down on her haunches.
Thank you, Drax.
He put on his best smile.
You're welcome, Dela. I would do anything for you.
He then instantly twisted around and slammed a hoof into his face, causing a searing pain to flare up in his right eye. Dela looked at him confused.
What's wrong?
Drax turned around and chuckled the best he could.
Oh, nothing. I'm just kinda tired.
Dela looked at him worriedly.
Why is your eye swollen? It was fine a while ago.
Drax hung his head.
I hit myself.
She stood up and looked even more confused.
Why would you do that?
I'm just stupid, is all. I say the wrong things at the wrong time.
Drax said as he rubbed a hoof across his face, wiping away tears. Suddenly, something ran into him and wrapped around his neck. He was taken aback by what just happened. Dela, who would never allow any pony to touch her, was now hugging Drax.
Don't say that. You're a good stallion.
She said while she broke the hug. Drax had the largest blush and smile upon his face.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Something began to slam into the wall repeatedly. They looked at the wall and listened as it was hit again and again. Dela cocked her head.
What is that?
Drax chuckled.
It sounds like Peter and Rarity are bucking apples. I wish that they wouldn't be so loud, though.
Dela blushed, a first.
Bucking apples? Oh my.
Drax smiled.
Don't worry about it. They'll be done soon. Hopefully.
He then made his way for the door.
In the meantime, how would you like to go grab a cup of cocoa?
She smiled and began to follow him.
I would love a cup of cocoa.
Meanwhile, in Peter and Rarity's room,
Peter, stop it!
Rarity screamed out.
Never. I'm enjoying myself too much to stop.
Peter screamed out as he began to breathe heavily.
But Peter, you're being too rough.
Rarity whined.
Too rough. You haven't seen rough, my love.
He yelled out as the bed began to shake more violently.
Peter, please stop. You're going to break the bed.
Peter let out a loud yell and collapsed upon the bed.
There, stopped, happy?
Rarity shook her head.
That wasn't that fun.
Peter looked at her and cocked his head.
What, I'm that bad?
She nodded.
I'm afraid so.
Peter let out a groan.
Damn, and I thought I was the best at jumping on beds.
Rarity stood up from the chair she had been sitting in while she watched Peter jump on the bed.
My little sister broke her bed, so she beat you.
Peter hung his head.
Oh shit.
The
Next day, 1:23 p.m. at the slopes.
I looked at the billboard with a smile on my face. It was reading an announcement about a slope run for advanced skiers. I was seriously thinking about doing it. Probably because of break.
I have nothing to do with this. I do.
I rolled my eyes and looked into the distance, towards a large and high slope that was looming above all the others. Damn, that's really far away. I sighed and began the long journey to the advanced skiers' slope. 4 hours of hard walking later, I finally made it to the top and collapsed. That was the longest walk/climb of my life.
Wimp.
Took a deep breath and stood, pulling my face cover back over my face. I really don't even see the point in this anymore. You climb for hours to ski, and then it only lasts a few minutes. A few hours of hard climbing does not equal 5 minutes of fun. As I began to make my way to the starting point, I heard somebody screaming my name. When I turned, Peter slammed into me, making us roll down the slope a few yards. Once we stopped, I stood and looked at him.
How did you get up here so fast?
He turned and pointed to a lift.
They have those things, you know.
I face-huffed. I could have used one of those and turned this 4-hour trip into a few minutes. Damn it! Peter then began to look happy and nervous at the same time. I looked over at him.
What is it, Peter? Why did you tackle me?
He walked over to me and smiled nervously.
Okay, dude, don't overreact.
I nodded.
I won't overreact.
He took a deep, long breath before stating,
Twilight is having the baby right now.
My eyes widened and my breathing began to quicken as I yelled out.
What?!
Peter held up a hoof.
It's okay. She went into labor an hour ago. I'm missing it!
I screamed out.
Lance, calm your tits.
I grabbed Peter by the shoulders and began to yell at the top of my lungs.
She's having the baby, and I'm missing it!
Suddenly, a loud roaring-like sound came from farther up the mountain. We looked towards the sound and our mouths hung open in shock.
Oh, way to go, Lance. You caused the fucking avalanche.
The snow was coming towards us like a powerful wave. I looked over at Peter, who was glaring at me with anger in his eyes. I smiled weakly.
Sorry?
I pulled him close and yelled out.
Hold on, this is gonna be a bumpy ride.
The snow crashed into us, carrying us down the mountain. Bum, bum, bum!
Tune in next time for chapter 60. And possibly Dark Opera joining in with us. You know.
No, he's probably going to be in the next chapter. I mean, like, I'm not entirely
yeah.
sure, but...
Yeah, he will. You guys,
probably.
he will. So just stop bothering us about it, even though that you
He'll
haven't.
be in. Don't worry about it.
So yeah.
Okay. So...
The end.
Yeah. Crap, back to Italian. Okay, gotta do Indian. Hang on, let me just say something with the accent before I do the line.
Too many different accents. So much racism.
And there's our blooper.
So much blatant racism. It's starting to overwhelm me. I can't tell what I am anymore. Oh God, help me.
Okay. Shh. I gotta do my stereotype Indian line. The one that I first did when you heard me do this accent.
Oh God.
The question is not who am I. The question is who are you. I know who I am, and I am Prince Hanama of India. Okay, I got this.